Welcome back to Law Call. When we were before the break, we were talking about the video, and you had thought of something.
Yeah, you know,
to discuss further.
Talking about the timing of it, I had mentioned in the last segment about how when we request video, we usually ask for a certain number of time, minutes, hours preceding it, and it's especially important in a slip and fall situation because, as we said before, it's the burden of the plaintiff, the person bringing the claim, to prove. Affirmatively prove that the substance was on the floor for a sufficient time for the premise owner to find it, discover it, do something about it, correct it. And if you can't prove that it was there for long enough, you're out of luck.
Right.
So we ask for those things, and I can think of a case in particular a few years back where there was I think it was water on the floor, and we never could find out exactly what was causing it, whether it was, at the time we didn't know what was causing it, but we were able to see that there had been track marks, buggies being pushed through, just tracking water back and forth, back and forth. And so that provided some evidence, and we didn't have a time, we didn't have an actual event that we could point to, but we could say, well, look at this, it's obviously been long enough that all these different carts and stuff have gone through it. Of course, it cuts both ways because not everybody pushing a cart fell. But in our situation, a lady was walking around in end cap and went out from underneath her. But being able to show that video that, oh, this has been here for a long time, usually it's, I would say 10 minutes.
Yeah,
it
depends on the topic.
standard.
If you're talking about a customer retail business, right, like a grocery store, a restaurant, they're going to typically be held to a higher standard because they know they have a lot of foot traffic.
Right.
Versus a warehouse setting or something where there's not a lot of outside people coming in. So a lot of it's it's all case specific. It depends on a lot of factors. But and especially if you're talking about ingress and egress, where people are coming and going, the high foot traffic areas, that's your high alert areas.
Yeah, and usually the most common ones of those we see is on a rainy day.
Right.
People going in and out of stores and people tracking in water. And believe it or not, a premise owner, a business owner, there's a responsibility there to make sure that when people come in, you have this area dry. As difficult as that may be, that's why you have mats, that's why you have all these things, and you have to put up wet floor signs. But just putting up a wet floor sign does not absolve the property owner of liability. A lot of people say that. Well, there was a wet floor sign. Well, yeah, you still have to fix it.
Right.
You still got to clean it up.
That's meeting part of your standard and your duty.
Right.
But you can't just leave something there that it needs to be fixed.
That's exactly right.
And back to something we mentioned earlier. Do I need a lawyer, and how quickly should I call a lawyer? This is one of the reasons why it's better to be safe than sorry and get in touch with somebody sooner rather than later, because if you don't do it, it happens to us every day. Folks come in months later, I tried to work this out on my own, now I can't, and we're like, where was it? They would have video, we asked for it, and it's too late.
It's gone, yeah.
So, and that's not something you can ever get back.
Well, and if you think about it like this, the most important thing if you've had an accident and you're injured, number one, you've got to get your medical care taken care of. That's the most important thing, is you get the proper care to try to get you on your way to recovery. And so the reason you get a lawyer early is so we take the burden off of you to do all these things, to go out
and focus on the doctor
get the surveillance and build the evidence and interview witnesses and deal with insurance companies, so you can focus on getting better, and we can focus on making sure that we protect your claim, so that when the time comes that you have recovered or you've gotten as good as you're going to get, we're now prepared to move forward with the claim because we've done all the investigative work while you were taking care of yourself.
Right.
And that's really the best way to handle it.
Right. And because we work on what's called a contingency fee basis, that's not costing you out of pocket right away. That's another big question and concern people have. But because unless we make a recovery from you, we are not compensated anything.
That's correct.
And so and by analogy, if it's a small claim, we get paid less. So if you end up not needing as much treatment as you thought you would, it's okay.
Yeah.
But you've had your claim protected, because you don't know after the accident how bad it's going to be. So it's always better to protect yourself. Trust me, the insurance companies and the property owners, they're protecting themselves with their professionals and their lawyers. So you just need to have somebody there that's going to fight for you and make sure whatever the outcome is, it's the best possible outcome for you and your family. So make sure and do that. I can't emphasize that enough.
We've talked a lot about slips, trips, and falls, but another one of the more common types of claims that we deal with when we're talking about people being on somebody else's property are dog bites.
Dog bites, yes, and that's a big one that we see quite frequently. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't realize this, but they may or may not have coverage for that in their homeowner's policy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of policies, and especially if you don't disclose it to your agent that you have a dog, that will exclude coverage for that, or alternatively have a very low limit for that.
Right.
So make sure if you have a dog that you are reporting that to your agent and that you have adequate coverage for that to insure you in case something happens.
Right.